You know, I've been going over this morning, and it's a sensitive subject for me in that Montreal fans have said for the last year, um, anytime I talk about Montreal, that either that I don't know what I'm talking about, which okay, or that there's a bias against them. So when I'm watching what Montreal's going through and I see them with a 1-5-1 record, a Montreal video coming up must be something they're dreading. But just if we look at where the team's at, the first issue really is the obvious one. Max Pacioretty talked a really good game during the preseason. He loved working with Drouin. He felt they had good chemistry. Preseason, the team didn't play very well, and now they're not playing well during the regular season. This is the glaring issue up front. The game they played last night, it was a 1-1 tie going into the third, and then it all fell apart. So, to me, the number one issue is Pacioretty's one goal. That's his only point. It's 7 games. That's simply not good enough. Hitting posts, none of it matters. This is not a total that is at all workable. Now, the other issue, and I've actually heard Craig Button say it during games, Hemsky hasn't had a point yet. Hemsky hasn't been a factor. Remember, he's supposed to replace Radulov. Radulov got signed by Dallas. Hemsky goes to Montreal, and all's supposed to be well. Now, Radulov isn't lighting the world on fire in Dallas either, but Hemsky's been a zero. If Radulov stays in Montreal, there's no way he's a zero. You'd have a more dynamic lineup. Last 5 games. The last 5 games, I'm just going to go through the totals. I won't even write them on the board. Gallagher has no points. Paul Byron has a goal, had it last night. Galchenyuk, 1 goal. Pacioretty has nothing in the last 5 games. Plekanec, 1 assist. He had that last night. Drouin, 4 points. 2 goals, 2 assists. He's the only forward who is producing. Danault, 1 assist. And Shaw, 1 assist, and that was last night. It's abysmal when you look at it from that point of view. You've played 7 games. Your defense has 3 goals, and they have 4 assists. And Weber, who's being paid well, played 7 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. Again, for the money they're paying him, for what they gave up to get him, Shea Weber needs to produce more than that. Shea Weber is a beast defensively. And I keep hearing about how I rolled my eyes watching the game the other night where they said that Weber has come down off the point and now he's loading up that booming shot from the hash marks. That's not where Weber's supposed to be. Weber's supposed to be at the point. You're supposed to have Pacioretty, Drouin, one of these other guys booming the shots from in front of the net. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the 4 forward, 1 defenseman power plays. I find it weird, and we'll see how many more shorthanded goals that creates. But Weber should be back at the point. It should really be Weber and Mate on the points, I think. But who up front is producing? Well, in the last 5 games, as I've said, not very many. And on the defense, only 3 goals scored in 7 games, which projects out to 33 goals from the blue line. And about a point a game from the blue line, which just that doesn't work. You've got zeros from Davidson and Ben. Mark Streit got bought out. They terminated his contract. And Mate has 1 point, Petrie has 1 point, and Alzner leads the way with 3. If If Alzner's your best producing defenseman, there's an issue right there. And then, the elephant in the room, really. If you're looking at the 5 reasons, I'll go with 1, 2, 3. Oh, you know what? It's 6. 6 reasons, or 5 if you consider the defense and Weber to be 1 point. That .885 save percentage, that's not going to win you a lot of hockey. And I get it. The blue line in front of him, as I've highlighted here, hasn't been good enough. They're not scoring goals. The pressure on Price is higher. I did a video last year where I was talking about Price not playing well and whether or not he'd come out of it. And he did. And I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to sit down and do a video on how Carey Price's game has fallen apart. Here's the problem. With these kinds of totals being put up, even if Carey Price is at a league average, the league average for goaltenders was .915 last year. Let's say he saves 91% of his shots. With everything else that's going on, does it really give them a lot more wins? I would argue that it doesn't. And when you have a team that scored 11 goals in 7 games, it's not enough. And so when the question is asked, and I mean, I watched Hockey Central this morning where they were talking about it, and they've already written Montreal off. I haven't written Montreal off, not completely. I haven't written Montreal off completely, but these don't help. It doesn't help. You have, really, for Montreal, you have to start to turn things around, and yet I'm not sure where it's going to come from. Byron's only got 1 goal. He could get hot, but again, he overachieved last year. A 10 to 15 goal season is more realistic for him. Shaw's not an offensive dynamo. Gallagher's been invisible. Pacioretty's been invisible. But Pacioretty will come out of this poor streak he's on, because he does. He does go through these cold streaks. And then when he's on a hot streak, he can look like one of the best players in the league. But you look at this, the fact that you have, that's 8 of their top 9 with Galchenyuk, Byron, Gallagher, Pacioretty, Plekanec, Drouin, Deno, Shaw. None of this screams playoffs. And I haven't even, Lehkonen I haven't touched. But Lehkonen is not a core guy on a really good contending team. It's not about comparing your team with everybody else. You look at the best team in hockey, which over the last 2 seasons has been Pittsburgh. You look at the roster they won a Stanley Cup with, and you say, okay, which parts of the team that we have don't measure up with that team? Or measure yourself to Nashville from last year. Which part of what we have doesn't measure up to that team? You compare yourself to the best. Because if you're just comparing yourself to just anybody else randomly, yeah, you may be better on paper than some of those other teams. Compare yourself to the best. That should be the standard that every GM aims for. Which parts do I have? And that's my issue. Montreal with Carey Price absolutely has, I still think, the best goalie in the league when he's on. Shea Weber, one of the best defensemen in the league. He's no longer one of the top 5 or top 10, but he's a damn good defenseman. It's past that it gets kind of muddled. And I don't know that Montreal has a premier guy on the horizon. I know Drouin, with 5 points in 7 games, he's on pace for 60 points. That's really good. But you've still got other holes in the lineup. And if Drouin is the guy that you're saying, all right, he's our marquee guy, this may be the start of a very long season for Montreal. He was brought in to bolster the top 6, not be the top 6. And Galchenyuk, if it's not working with him, they've got to figure it out. Montreal's got to make a move. And Bergevin has to make a move. Because we're at the point where Montreal's patience is going to wear thin. Now, Molson's already come out and said, like the president of the team from Molson has said, that he still believes Montreal is good enough and will turn it around. If I'm Mark Bergevin, I feel a little nervous hearing that. Because that means that they're seeing that there's a problem, and they don't necessarily think it's a team, but that may mean either the manager needed to fix something that he didn't, or they think it's time to get rid of the coach already. So it's a matter of what they do, when they do it. But clock's ticking. The problem with saying it's early, and I understand people saying it, is that when you're on this kind of a streak and you're losing like this, things happen so fast before you know it, it's not early anymore, and you're still in the doldrums. So, do I think Montreal can pull out of it? Yes. Do I think they're a playoff team? No. I don't. But again, they've proved me wrong before. They can prove me wrong again. Let me know why I'm wrong in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.